Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's February 23rd. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and another kind of neutral range type day. It looked like we did bounce off this lower band, but prices couldn't sustain any rally. We did rally later in the day off of these very lows. But we did close way off the highs as well. So this just looks like sideways action still. Um, does not look like we're trying to bounce out of here just yet. So we'll see what happens. I still think we could go lower. It wouldn't surprise me to see us pull back and test this midline before prices go lower. But they didn't get anywhere near that today. So we couldn't get through this yellow band here, and you can see prices turned down right off of that. And we just closed right along in here in the middle of the purple and kind of yellowish orange band or whatever you would point that out to be. It looks more, I think it's supposed to be orange, but it looks more yellow maybe. Anyway, kind of a neutral day. When we flip over to the intraday chart, you'll see pretty much similar. We had a huge sell off and then a huge rally. We only had about a 2 hour window today where we had some multiple decent trades. So if you kind of missed that window early on, there wasn't much opportunity. Then late in the afternoon in the large rally, there weren't many setups either. So kind of a strange day where you had about a 2 hour window where you had multiple trades. So there was enough trades to still have a decent day, but if you missed that 2 hour window, you didn't get much opportunity today. So let's flip over there and take a look at it and go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up. Also wrap this week up. This is Thursday. No chart lessons on Fridays. I stopped doing them on Fridays to get a break. After doing this 5 days a week for years and years, it's just got to be monotonous. It's good for you to do these. It's even good for me to do these daily charts because it forces me to review my trades, review my chart, and to go over the whole day's price action every day. And that, believe it or not, that's what makes you get better at this. Um, but after years of doing it, 4 days a week is about all I can take anymore. So I'm no longer doing them on Fridays if you're new and wondering why there's not one on Friday. So anyway, let's skip over to the 2000 tick chart and get through the trades and wrap this week up. And here's what it looked like. Early on, we were in this range, and notice when we broke out, we moved an exact measured move, turned down. We ran down a measured move, bounced there a few times before pushing on through. We really had kind of like a spike in channel down here. This thing was really bearish for a little bit, and then it rallied back out of there just as bullish as it was bearish. So the volatility is just crazy lately. But you can see there wasn't a lot of opportunity here early until this sell-off, and then we just kind of chopping around in here, and then there wasn't much opportunity on this rally either. So there's a few green ones in there, but let's zoom on in and we'll go through these trades and we'll wrap this day and this week up. There was a 7:30 news item, GDP, which is economic, so you want to be flat. It didn't really make a whole lot of difference here. You can see the range and the price action. We did rally out of there on it, looks like, but you wanted to be flat at least 15 minutes going into this one, and really by 15 minutes later, it was obvious it was a no-brainer. So there was no reason really that you couldn't trade after that, although I don't see anything there I really like. Um, you might have gone long. It's a little congested. This is a double bottom, so it's a first entry, second entry. I'd like to see this come off the EMA too, and it doesn't. Although it probably did bounce off the midline. It's close enough. It's a little congested though, but you'd think we're probably going back to the highs. So if you really wanted to take one there on a failure, maybe you take that. I'm not crazy about it. I didn't like it. So of course we get our break here, move to a new high, and then it looked like we were going to fail and come uh, back into the range. No real chance to get short on this. You might have taken this one. Uh, it's moved a little far to be a lower high, but it is it is a move through the EMA and a pullback, and you would expect prices are at least coming back to test this. So if there's enough room there, there's another one you might take. I think I'd still wait on something a little more concrete than that. And of course, we do end up back in. And here's another one. Notice there's a new high and there's a first entry, second entry, and then it fails. So you might have even taken that one, but we're above the support resistance, and it's kind of like we're in no man's land there. But it's another one you might take. And there's probably some more green ones in here. But, we want to look for the sure things, the one that we know. And notice here we already had a break and a new low on 2 legs. So this could trap you and go higher. And it actually did go higher after that move, but you would have easily scalped out of that. But I don't think I'd take that one. And I don't think I'm going to go long here right into the resistance. And there's just no real chance to enter this all the way up, and then we're just chopping sideways. If you got a good setup off the highs, maybe you take that, but I don't even see a good setup there, and the bottom just falls out. There is a lower high here, but look at the stem on that, and it's got a 2-bar matching low. There's no guarantee you're going to push through here at all, much less. So your hope there is only to get a scalp between here and there. I don't think that's worth risking it. Because you don't know that it's going to do this. That's just a bonus. If you did go short there and you got this, that's a bonus. That's a freebie. So just be glad you got it. But there's no way to predict that when you've already bounced there multiple times. You would expect prices will probably bounce there again. Prices don't always do what we think, so you never know. But you don't want to take a risk on it if it's not a sure thing. So we get a break here, move to a new low, and again, we can't rally back out of this trading range. And in fact, I would have adjusted this by this time to maybe something more like that. Because you can see it just looks like the support or the resistance moved higher here, and we had another little failed breakout. This looked like we were going to get a chance to go short here. It didn't break lower, and then it gives you a lower high. I don't think I would trade that on the engulfing bar, but I wouldn't have a problem going short there after 3 tries to go higher. Guarantee they probably trapped some longs, and you could see that turns out to be a great trade. So there was your first opportunity really to get a good trade, and you got a nice runner on that one as well. So of course, it runs straight down. You get a break outside, and it's trying to make a new low and can't, and it breaks out of here. And unfortunately, again, you don't get a chance to go short. You don't really even get a new high on this channel right here. But notice that this is basically a double top, and you got a leg down, first entry, a second leg down, a second entry, and it fails. So when it breaks lower right there, I like trading that as a trap. Plenty of room to get out, and this thing just kind of takes off again. Whether or not you got a runner there, it's very questionable. Likely not, depending on how you played it. But notice we're just kind of running each side of the EMA all the way down until we run back over to the trend line. And we actually get a triple test and a second entry short. That's sideways, so you could look at that as a range. So just make sure you got enough room to get out here. And if you do, take that trade. I'd probably take it. If you weren't 100% sure about going short one tick below it, like if you didn't quite have enough room to scalp out, maybe you try a limit order there, because there's a good chance that confirming that trend line that we're going lower. And of course it does, and that turns out to be a nice trade. And then you get an easy second entry right off the key entry point. I mean, look at that. 7 ticks. I mean, you can even almost get in that on the old 8 tick safety stop rule. So I mean, that's as good as it gets right now. And even if you draw your trend channel, you even get a break outside the new high. I mean, that's as good as it gets on the second entry with the trend. Hopefully everybody saw that one. Hopefully you got a chance to take that trade, and you probably get a runner there. So like I said, there's not a lot of trades today, but during this 2-hour window there was some pretty good trades here. So drop on down, you get your first break outside, and you try to go higher and get a second entry right there when it breaks lower. I like taking that second entry on down, because you're probably going to make a new low here, especially on that strong a trend. And notice how it takes a few minutes to bounce out of here. And then finally you get a second entry here. I marked this one green because it's not a great signal bar, but it clearly confirms that trend line. It's clearly a second entry long. Um, you could even look at this uh, as a failure because you got a new swing low here and you get a first entry and then it goes higher and turns back down. So not only do you get a second entry long, you really have a failed second entry short. And again, that signal bar is like 6 ticks. You could actually trade that with an 8-tick rule. You don't get that chance very often. So I like that trade. I marked it green because you need to be able to see all that, but I like that trade. And you can see it did trap some shorts because they all had to exit here. And once they ran all the stops, it didn't have much momentum until it had to build another failure here and go higher again. But I wouldn't take that. It's too much resistance across there to try to go long into that. And of course, now you get your break. You got this channel working down. You get a close outside new low. And then notice you're trying to go lower here and you test it 1, 2. There's really a triple test right here. So you might have entered here. I didn't mark it, but maybe you enter there on the triple test. And it does confirm that trend line as well. But here you get a second entry long and a higher low, again off the trend line. So I like that one even better. And actually I think I meant to mark that one blue. I don't know why I marked it green. I like that trade. Maybe it was because there wasn't a lot of room there, but I'm probably going to take that trade anyway. And you can see it really trap people. It runs up, runs back. You get another first entry and then another second entry, although that looks a little congested, and that's an inside bar. They're usually not very good bars. But if you're just patient, a few minutes later, you make a new high, first entry, second entry with a great signal bar, go long right there. There's even a high or low, but I wouldn't take that right into the high. But that's a no-brainer there, and look at it go. And you just don't get another, you don't want to be entering up here. I don't see anything. You definitely don't want to be going short here because the trend line's way down here. And again, you just don't get anything set up until it comes back here. And notice you got a new low, first entry. And then even though there's a tick back right there in the count, it looks like one leg up. So it looks like 2 legs up. So this looks like another failed second entry and such a strong signal bar off the key entry point. If you see that, take that trade. I marked it green because that's it's a failure to begin with, which most new traders shouldn't even be looking at those. But if you look at it here, it's clearly 2 legs up. And even though there's a little tick back there for the count, it just looks like a leg to me. And I'm going to trade it. So it's probably going to act like that. And of course it does. And boom, off it goes. And that takes us into 2:30. So yeah, there was not much trading going on until about 9:30, and it lasted a couple of hours. There were a couple more here in the lunch hour, so maybe you had a 3-hour window in there that the trading was pretty good, and if you were on the outside of that, not much, and if you were on earlier than that, not much. It's just the way trading goes some days, and so you just have to sit here, and if you're patient, and if you were patient today, there were a couple of easy second entries right off the key entry point. And that's what you really want. And that's when you generally can, a lot of times, can get a good runner and so forth. So be patient, wait on the sure things, the easy, the spot ones. Don't try forcing trades, or don't try, most new traders just simply overtrade. They think they come in here and they see us trade on every swing, and they're looking for a trade on every swing. And the idea is to find these key entry points and wait on prices to come back to them and then give you a setup. And so notice where all the good setups are at on the key entry points. Every one of them. They're all at the key entry points. This would be a key entry point because it's a range. So that's where all your good setups happen. And if you can just be patient and learn to find these and wait on prices to come back to them and then wait on the good setup, it becomes so much easier. But I had somebody on the forum that was we had a trend like this the other day all the way down, and he's trying to buy all the way down and lose it and wonder why he can't get a winning trade. and all you had to do was sell. And that's the thing. If you enter with the trend, you can even make a mistake. You can be a little early or a little late, and you can still have a winner. But if you counter trend trade and you're not 100% right on hitting a correction at the right point, it's a loser. And even if you get a winner, you're definitely not going to get a runner. You might just get your scalp, and that's going to be it. Don't try to pick tops and bottoms. Because even if you pick the bottom down here, you probably couldn't get any big runner or anything because you'd get stopped out later because it backs up. And so you can't, the idea is to try to get on with the trend, not try to pick reversals and bottoms and tops. It's a losing strategy. Don't try to do it. That's like our number one rule. And so when people post their trades and they're asking about those, it makes my skin crawl sometimes because I'm like, if that's the number one rule, don't try to counter trend trade. Get on with the trend at the key entry points. That's the secret. So anyway, that's enough for today. That's enough for this week. I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it Monday. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.